So, does anyone care to touch on this further?
List, and I know we don't have time to list them all here, but you've already talked about same-sex marriage. You've already talked about abortion. So if a candidate does not pass those two things, then you just X them off the list.
That's right. Same-sex marriage, if you recognize same-sex marriage, that means you do not recognize an absolute moral law from God. So if
Okay. So at that point, I'm just going to go ahead and interject that I think it's perfectly appropriate for us to point out which of these politicians and anybody else are taking APAC money. My name is Jerry. I left MAGA. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about David Barton and how he fits into the picture with Project 2025, which I'm getting ready to tear into the training videos for the people that are working for Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation. Let's start with this little tidbit right here. All the links will be in the description below. This is the only article that I have. And as far as all the videos that I have, I put them into a playlist. Both of those items are linked in the description. So David Barton, this is coming from the Texas Freedom Network. David Barton promotes disputed immigration study co-authored by guy who says Hispanics are dumber than whites. David Barton, the religious right's favorite pseudo-historian, is promoting a disputed Heritage Foundation study that says immigration reform will cost taxpayers trillions of dollars in welfare and other public costs. I'm not going to read any more of that, but you can get to the article. The link is in the description. So let's go ahead and get into David Barton here. You can see this is from 2011. Let's see, today is March 25th, 2026. So this is from 15 years ago yesterday. Let's just take a peek at what this guy right here has to say. And yeah, let's just go for it.
The Bible is so good on economic issues and specifically on taxation issues that we used to know what kind of taxes were good and what kind of taxes were bad. In this case, it was real easy to prove from the Bible that the Stamp Act tax was an unbiblical tax. That's why we could preach about it. That's why we could have a day of thanksgiving to God when we repealed it. It's not that we're just repealing taxes. We repealed an anti-biblical tax. Now, if you take that and roll
An anti-biblical tax. Oh, we're already off to a bad start, aren't we?
that forward to where we are now and say, well, what kind of taxation issues do we deal with today that the Bible might address? Pretty easy. For 40 years, parties have gone back and forth over the capital gains tax. It really doesn't matter to me what either party.
Didn't Jesus say, "Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's"? Doesn't that mean just pay your taxes and move on? That's how I understand the interpretation now. But anyway, let's listen to this guy.
Party says, because the Bible is very clear on, Jesus has two entire teachings on the capital gains tax. Do you know whether Jesus is for or against the capital gains tax? In the same way, we have a progressive income tax. Now, when the founders wrote the Constitution, they wrote what was called a capitation tax system. But in 1913, through the 16th Amendment, we amended the Constitution and said, no, we don't want a capitation tax system. We want a progressive income tax system. Okay, two different systems of taxation. Does the Bible take a position on either position? Yes, absolutely. So is the Bible for or against a progressive income tax? In the same way, this past Congress, before this last election, for the first time in...
Okay. This guy, oh my goodness. He's not even reading the scriptures. I mean, I could go back and break them down, but that matters little to me because he's pushing something that I recognize as a bad doctrine. But you can see that, I hope. Let's just go ahead and move right along because this guy is just he's special.
Science continually validates the Bible. It may not initially. For example, the whole thing on global warming. I had a Jewish rabbi who took me through it, Genesis 1 through 3, and said, look, here's what's happening, here's what's going to happen, and here's what science is going to find. Well, for a while it looked like science was saying, oh yeah, carbon dioxide is creating the problem. And now we find carbon dioxide is a cooling agent to keep the atmosphere cool so that it doesn't warm up. And so now science is catching up with the Bible, but this thing of stem cell research, if if it is wrong to destroy a human embryo, then there's no way you're going, if the Bible is right and it's wrong to destroy a human embryo, then there's no way you're going to get medical benefit out of doing something wrong. And so what had surprised me was we've been doing stem cell research for 30 years, embryonic stem cell research, and we have yet to have a single human trial.
Again, from 2011, I can tell you right now that information is incorrect. What do I do with this guy? And when he talks about destroying embryos, do they consider uh uh well, they are frozen embryos, right? For IVF. So I wonder where he falls in the IVF debate. Hmm. That may be a question I'll have to answer some other time. Let's just keep right on going. Let's see how Dave Barton explains the Second Amendment.
In the case of the Second Amendment, the Founding Fathers didn't call it the right to keep and bear arms the way it's written. They called it the biblical right of self-defense. So that
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. So yeah, pseudo historian is a great title for this guy.
the ultimate goal of the Second Amendment is to make sure you can defend yourself against any kind of illegal force that comes against you, whether that's from a neighbor, whether that's from an outsider, or whether that's from your own government. And in the case of the American Revolution, if the Founding Fathers had not been able to take on that illegal British government coming, so for them, it's not a matter of, oh, you got too many bullets in your magazine. It's no, whatever the government's got, we got to have the same thing, because if they've got an AK-47 and come through and we've only got a BB gun on the inside, this is not a deterrent. So
Okay, so hold up. Okay, this is on Blaze TV, on the Blaze Network. That's Glenn Beck's. That's Glenn Beck's platform. But who is David Barton talking to? That looks like Tim Ballard. Now I remember Tim Ballard had some association with Glenn Beck. Huh. Um, does it say down here? No, it doesn't say who the host is. Interesting.
the whole purpose of the Second Amendment is to make sure that you have equal power with whatever comes against you illegally. So at that point, that's got to control the gun control debate.
Well, it looks to me like I just opened up a new rabbit hole for myself, or maybe a new channel on my digital strip mine. I'll have to go check on that. All right, so Dave Barton assures Glenn Beck that the government can outlaw homosexuality. Let's see where he goes with that. And how long is this? A minute and a half. Yeah, we might be able to watch the whole thing.
The right of conscience used to be an inalienable right. That word inalienable meant not to be touched by government, period. That was it. If it's inalienable, the government can't touch it, whether it was life or liberty.
Nothing can change it except God.
Nothing. Nothing but God. And I think the best way to understand that is a jurisdictional analogy. Now, I've got my red pickup. You've got a white car. I look over in your yard. I really want your car to be red, so I go over and spray paint your car red. The difference is I can spray paint anything I want red if it belongs to me, but I cannot touch anything that's yours and spray paint. That's a jurisdictional line. And so the government's looking over and saying, oh, that's an inalienable right, that belongs to us. We're going to mark it up with our spray paint. And they've crossed a jurisdictional line. They no longer respect private property, including the private property of conscience, the private property of faith, the private property of self-protection. That's all private property. The government can't touch it. So that
just like the government can't say you can't be a homosexual, because that's you. That's how you practice your life, right?
To some degree, but the government has always taken stands on behavior that undermine the government itself. And that's where morality has always, see, consanguinity, government's always gotten involved. You can't marry your brother and sister. You can't marry your first cousin. So there's always been things that protect the moral climate of the society. And if you don't...
Wow, David, really? Oh, man.
have that moral climate, then you should have no crimes of any kind, because everybody will disagree on to what degree is manslaughter and what is it self-defense. And so you've always had standards on behavior.
Anyway, so just wow. Okay, and I did not expect him to land the plane exactly like that. I mean, I kind of suspected that's where he was going, but when it comes to personal rights, I think that everybody has the right to swing their fist until it comes in contact with my nose. You can live your life how you want to, as long as you're not hurting anybody without consent, and oh, things are okay. You treat other people like human beings, and we're gonna get along okay. But David, good grief! I mean, good grief! All right, so I'm not sure which program this is on. PNR. Maybe I'll figure it out by while we're rolling through this. David Barton says God won't bless America economically if gay marriage and abortion are legal. So we're getting a pretty good idea so far of the kind of mindset this guy has. But and that's what I need you to understand as we continue moving forward.
So I guess what we've got to be saying this coming year as we're approaching what may be one of our most critical ever elections, as we're approaching this election, maybe our watchword has to be Christians come out of the closet.
Yeah, that's right. And we also, when we do, we have to remember that righteousness exalts a nation, not economics. So do not vote your pocketbook. 45% of Christians vote economic issues over moral issues. That's not what God will bless. God will bless the moral issues, then your economics will follow that. So we have to come out of the closet, and when we get out, we have to remember to think biblically when we vote. And
Did you hear Mr. Barton there? He's telling you Christians to come out of the closet. I think that's a rather interesting choice of words.
those principles of American acceptance.
I mean, I understand the intent behind his statement. That's just an interesting collection of words to string together in this context.
Then your economics will follow that. So we have to come out of the closet, and when we get out, we have to remember to think biblically when we vote. And those principles of American exceptionalism is a really good guideline for thinking biblically and getting to the right conclusion on the candidates.
Okay, so just a brief bucket list.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that there is that solid connection in your mind where he's talking about American exceptionalism and biblical thinking, because this is a big portion of the overall thought control within this group.
List, and I know we don't have time to list them all here, but you've already talked about same-sex marriage. You've already talked about abortion. So if a candidate does not pass those two things, then you just X them off the list.
That's right.
What
Same-sex marriage. If you recognize same-sex marriage, that means you do not recognize an absolute moral law from God. So if
Okay. So at that point, I'm just going to go ahead and interject that I think it's perfectly appropriate for us to point out which of these politicians and anybody else are taking APAC money or receiving propaganda from the Russians. I, if you've been paying attention, I think you probably have a clue of what I'm talking about. If not, um, the tenant media thing that got Benny Johnson and Dave Rubin and Tim Pool and a few others caught up in having money funneled to them from Russia. The founders of Tenant Media were former RT executives, Russia Today executives. Anyway, let's what we got here, like less than 30 seconds.
you're wrong on the same-sex marriage issue, you're wrong on God's moral law. If you're wrong on the life issue, you're wrong on inalienable rights. And those two are simple modern indicators of an overall philosophy that does not comport with founding documents or with biblical principles.
So he's absolutely, it sounds to me like he's in absolute denial of the phrase from the Declaration of Independence about all having the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Then again, he's attached to the Heritage Foundation. All right, this is where things really start to get interesting. This is from 2016, as you can see. That would have been back around the time that Trump was running for presidency, right? And I I heard Monty Mater talking about when she was at or I'm sorry, at Liberty University, that Trump showed up there to speak before he decided to run for office. So that just gave me a little bit more um, um, belief, a little more evidence to believe in that Donald Trump has been managed this whole time. Um, I should put together a video breaking all that down. But anyway, let's let's get this started. Let's see where we go with it. We might get all the way through, but if not, that's probably okay because I'm trying to show how this guy is connected to Project 2025, and then I'm going to start showing you how they do the training.
College, already an excellent school for training, will now add a new strand of training. It'll be a brand new school for training. Charis Bible College, already an excellent school for training, will now add a new strand of training. It'll be a brand new school. It's a school of practical government. Government? So many other colleges and universities already have schools of government, so why Charis? I mean, we don't have to be like everybody else.
Except, hang on.
That's right. But did you notice the difference in the name? This is not a school of government. This is a school of practical government. The emphasis is on the word practical. To be quite blunt,
To be quite blunt, he's promoting a class through his unaccredited college. This is really no different than Liberty or Bob Jones University or Oral Roberts University or Laterno. They're all the same. They're all the same. If you want to hear, hang on, let's hear a few more words fall out of his mouth because I'm wanting to go ahead and get moved on through this video because what we're going to be looking at with the training films for Project 2025, it's going to be kind of heavy. I'm probably only going to be able to manage one of those a day.
the schools of government in so many other colleges and universities are not practical. They rarely make any positive difference at all, and in reality, it's often just the opposite. In fact, it's likely that the professors in many schools of government across America don't even vote. And that's a simple
Oh, good grief. I'm surprised he didn't call him Marxist. Anyway, the dude is seriously misguiding some people. I don't know if he actually believes anything that's falling out of his mouth. I really don't. But I suspect that he probably does. I mean, especially given this clip from July of 2016.
In my case, I happen to be involved in the Republican Party, but I hope everybody gets involved in some. I'd love to see Christians take over the Democrat Party, and then Republican Christians can fight over who's got the most Christian candidate. But it takes being involved to do that. So, having said that, I was one of the 112 people selected this year from across the nation to write the Republican platform. I've been writing the Republican platform since 1996. I'm there to make sure that I get as many biblical principles in as possible. I will say that this year, the platform we just did, in my estimation, is the most biblically friendly platform we've had in my lifetime, and I've got white hair, and so that goes back for a while. So what we did with Israel, what we did with marriage, what we did with conscience, what we did with faith, what we did with the expression of God, what we did with Bible in schools, you name it, we've gone in a very clear direction. The states picked 2 people out of their states to go to the nation to write that platform. So I was one of the ones chosen out of Texas and went there. They tell me that I have set the record for platform writing. 4 years ago when we wrote it, I made 140 amendments to the platform. Staff writes it and then we edit it, and all but one of those amendments were accepted. This year it was something like 70-something amendments, and every one of them was accepted, which tells me that
Wow. All right. So here we go. I would like to see more people talking about Dave Barton. Moving right along, since he's put it all out there out front. Dave Barton and Michelle Bachman. I have a clip for her. And this guy right here, that's Ken Copeland's son-in-law. Just put it all in context.
There is no other nation mentioned where every individual that's ever lived has a relationship with Israel for blessing or cursing, but so too when we read Matthew 25, every nation also has a relationship with Israel, because Matthew 25 says all nations will be called to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and there Jesus will be on his throne, and he separates the nations, the people, but the nations, for the sheep and the goat. And on what basis? How they treated Zion. So
So what she's making a reference to here is the Battle of Armageddon. I don't need to chuckle about that, but coping. So this is from 2018. Yeah.
our nation has been blessed because we have blessed Israel, but as we as a nation turn against Israel, then we receive repercussions negatively.
But how many?
I'm so sick of that narrative. Well, let me remind you of something else about Michelle Bachmann.
They see Gavin Newsom as this big beauty, but I would say I'd put up Donald Trump against him any day. I mean, here you have Donald Trump, who's in his very late 70s. The guy is absolutely handsome, incredible shape. He's married to the most beautiful woman in the world, and I'd put Donald Trump up against Gavin Newsom any day of the week, and Gavin wouldn't even be in the same league as Donald Trump. So beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
If you say so, Michelle. All right, so this is rolling on up to 2018. David Barton and Andrew Womack say Christians are supposed to be ruling the world. This is some of that Southern Mountains Mandate stuff. David Barton, I'll just let the words fall out of his mouth. Let's see how long is this clip. We may not watch the whole thing.
And in Genesis 2, after God has created everything, He's created the flowers, He's created the plants, He's created the birds, the animals, the fish.
On this note, I just need to interject. He's got Genesis 1 and 2 up there, 1 through 2. So chapters 1 and chapter 2. These are two very different creation accounts. Now, if an individual wants to look into the continuity of Genesis 1 leading into Genesis 2, with the idea that Lilith was the woman created in 1 and Eve was the woman created in 2, chapter 2, that gets us down this really crazy rabbit hole of who Lilith is, where she came from, and all of her attributes. But then I would have to go through the history of the character of Lilith, and she's not the one from chapter 1. If you believe a teacher that shows that Genesis 1 is the lead up to Genesis 2, then you're looking at a God of the gaps type of theology. So, with all that said, let's see where he's going with this.
In Genesis 2:5 and then repeated in Genesis 2:15, it says that God looked and He had no one to tend His garden, so He made man. He made man to take care of his stuff, and his stuff
Well, if that happened in Genesis 2, what happened to Adam in Genesis 1? He's just going to skip over that?
is entertainment, it is arts, it is business, it is government. God's the one who
Oh, yeah, they're talking Seven Mountains Mandate because right there, that's Lance Wallnau. And then that's David Barton, and that's Tom Womack. So the earlier clip that we saw, that was Tom Womack and David Barton, or I'm sorry, Andrew Womack. I thought that was Andrew Womack, but that's Lance Wallnau, the father of the Seven Mountains Mandate. Um, I guess I should throw him into the playlist. All right, let's keep rolling with this.
created a government, not man. That's not man's invention. It came from God. And God says, I need you to take care of my stuff. I got plenty of angels to worship and glorify me. I need you to take care of my stuff. And we're set back as Christians, so I can't wait to get to heaven where I can praise God. No, He put you here to take care of His stuff, and that includes government. That includes.
Wait. I thought we were in the world, but not of the world. I thought that the devil was the power and had dominion over earth. That's what I'm trying to say. See, this is a faith system that's built with the concept that they're omnipotent, omnipresent God needs the help of men to make things happen. I, this is rough.
Includes education.
Absolutely.
That includes business. That includes all this stuff.
Yeah, and
that's
right
why
here
we're
in Genesis 1:28, it says that God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion.
Have dominion.
And there you go. There's the crux. That was Lance Wallnau making reference to Genesis 1 when David Barton has been talking about Genesis 2. Okay, I have to move on. I have to move on. I got more work to do. This is getting lengthy. All right, so we've got Jim Baker, and this is part of the David Barton playlist. Let's see, Jim Baker went on social media and was dismissed and was dismayed to discover that people are mocking him for selling. How did this get in there? Huh. Well, was David Barton in there somewhere? I don't see David Barton in there. Huh. I guess I dropped that in the wrong playlist. I am only human. All right, so this is the last clip that I'm gonna share in this video, and we'll wrap it up on the other side. And as I've said before, I leave the disclaimers in place for reasons.
And founder of wallbuilders.com and Victory News contributor David Barton is very familiar with the new speaker. We spoke to him recently right after Mike Johnson was elected on the House floor.
Yeah, we know Mike very well. We've been friends for years. Mike is the guy that has been a leader and a fighter in really the conservative, Christian, pro-life, pro-marriage movement. I think Mike has a better grounded biblical worldview that's really clear with the way he thinks and speaks. He understands the history of America, the history of the institutions. He understands religion and morality is the basis of political prosperity, as George Washington said in his farewell address. He has that view of history that is really unique. There's not that many people who understand American history from the founders' perspective and what they intended. So he's very good at that.
All right, David Barton, we thank you for your insight into somebody that you know well, who's now the Speaker of the House. Gotta like.
Oh my goodness, okay. I'm glad that project is finished for now. I will be back to David Barton because I have to. It's all part of this project that I'm working on, this larger thing. I'll get that playlist thing cleaned up before I get this posted. Um, I hope that gave you some insight. I hope that gives you some food for thought on things that as we move forward with these programs and projects. And yeah, if you found it informative, do me a favor, give the video a thumbs up, share it with somebody you think might find benefit in it. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. I like return viewers. And if you have any thoughts or ideas, comments, anything like that, go ahead and drop them in the comment section. Um, for those of you who have discovered my account on Rumble, I haven't tried to hide it. It's still active. I'll be posting over there as well as on YouTube. So until the next video, take care of yourself so you can help take care of each other. Get the rest you need and keep track of those fluids.